Hi guys, welcome back to We Should Talk, a pop culture interview series from In the Know. I'm your host, Gibson Johns, and today on the podcast we have Dorinda Medley, formerly of The Real Housewives of New York, Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip Season 2. We're coming off BravoCon, so we had a lot to talk about. BravoCon, Housewives, Housewives of New York, the reboot, Legacy, her feud with Jill. But we also talked about she was doing interviews because she's partnering with Amazon Devices and Ring to decorate Bluestone Manor for Halloween. And so we talked a lot about at the beginning of that partnership and also the iconography of her house and why and sort of everything that comes with that. Looking back at Ultimate Girls Trip, and we kind of covered it all, and it's always just really fun with Dorinda. She's always has a lot to say and is really generous with her time and her energy. And I go way back with Dorinda at this point, and it's always just really fun to get some time with her. I hope we see her back on Legacy. She doesn't know, and I don't think anybody really knows right now, but I hope that changes soon. So yeah, keep listening for my interview with Dorinda Medley, and please rate, review, and subscribe to We Should Talk on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, so we're here with Dorinda Medley, star of Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip Season 2 Ex-Wives Club, formerly an icon of Real Housewives of New York City. She makes it nice. She's the queen of the holidays. I can go on, but Dorinda, thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you. We're all Halloweened out here. So Bluestone Manor is in full swing. In some ways it's my favorite holiday, even more than Christmas, but don't tell.
I'm not telling Christmas.
Really
I'm not
is.
telling Christmas. Why is that? Why do you like it? You feel like you can have more fun with it almost?
I just think that October is I think of it as such a magical month. And I just think Halloween just brings us all back to being young. Everybody loves the spooky. Everybody loves to be a little scared. And there's just something, Bluestone Manor just lends itself to that kind of decor. Like
Totally.
I'd love to keep it up the whole year. It seems like it just fits the house very well.
You know what? And I've never been to Bluestone Manor, but I can attest to that via watching it on TV and seeing all the pictures because I know that you're working with Amazon for this holiday with the various devices and they're going to help you kind of decorate your house. So can you speak to some of that and
It's my second year working with Amazon and the smart devices. And, this year we're working again with the Ring doorbell, which is, and the Echo Show 15, which I'm very excited about. And it's great because I can, it helps me just organize everything. I can set up routines when someone rings the Ring doorbell. It sets off Dracula greet you, which I find
very you.
And what's great is with the Echo Show 15, I can see everything from my kitchen. I can meet and greet them at the front door. I can see them. They put up a Chime security light. A Ring security light. And, the light goes off. So it's great to have an integrated system with the smart devices. It makes my routines easier. It means I don't have to leave the kitchen. I can pull up recipes. I can dim the light. I can put on music. I can see everybody at the front door. And it just makes my whole sort of Halloween routine a lot easier.
Totally. And we were talking before this interview, Dorinda, about how people are starting to find your house in the Berkshires and like sometimes get onto the premises, but some of these devices are helping you sort of nip that in the bud.
That was sort of the frosting on the cake. When they set up the Ring spotlight and camera, I didn't realize how useful it kind of was a default thing because I knew that we were going to do the Ring doorbell. I was so excited. We did it last year. I was very excited that Dracula was going to be greeting my guests, which I think is very appropriate for me because I kind of have a crush on Dracula. But what I really loved since the Ultimate Girls Trip 2, I mean, even before, but since the Ultimate Girls Trip 2, the house has almost become like the Disneyland of the housewives. I mean, every single day I have people at the gate. And if I by chance leave the gate open, which we did that day, all of a sudden it was so fun because on the Echo Show, 15, I could see when the Ring camera picked it up and put the spotlight on them, I could see it from my kitchen. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, strangers are in my driveway right now. So that to me has made me feel so much safer. And I can do it from my Fire Stick TV. I can see it on my TV. I can see it from my bedroom. I can see it from anywhere I have the Echo Show 15. I can say, oh my God, someone's not only at my door now, but pulling up to my driveway. That was scary, actually.
That's scary. It's flattering knowing that people want to visit
I
and
love my
see
fans.
where all the
Exactly.
moments are, of course. But it's like this is also your personal space and where you literally
Correct.
live. So yeah.
So now I'm going to put up 4 more of the
I mean, I don't blame you.
cameras and the spotlights. It's a game changer. And actually, an even funnier story is this. I bought this 20-foot pumpkin. Have you seen it on my Instagram?
I've seen the pumpkin.
Pumpkins become very famous. Okay. And I came home the other day and the pumpkin was gone. So I thought, oh my God. So I literally went back to my cameras and I saw that no one did steal the great pumpkin patch pumpkin, but actually on the Ring camera, I saw it blow away down the field.
Bye.
I was literally ready to call 911, but
Right.
because my Ring camera that showed up on my Echo Show 15 and on my TV, I could review it and say, oh, thank God, no one stole it. It's just now in the Whalen's backyard because I kind of saw where it blew.
So okay, so we know where it went. It didn't just like
So
fly away.
with the pumpkin. Thank you to the Ring camera.
Thank God. Oh my gosh.
To my Echo Show 15, we could go back and see the whole thing. And I could do it from my phone. So it's all integrated. My Bluestone Manor that was built in 1904, cannot believe how smart
It's
and
tricked out. It's tricked out now. It really is. I love it. I love it. And Dorinda,
that was so interesting. I was thinking about this now the other day. I said to Len this morning, I said, what's great now that they've set up the whole Ring app on my phone, I can watch Bluestone Manor even when I'm not here, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I can watch her on the cameras. I can watch her on my Echo Show 15. I can watch her on my phone. I'm going to be able to see everything that's going on while I'm away, how she plays. Isn't that great? And if anybody rings my doorbell, I can actually talk to them and say,
it's like its own TV channel now for you. It's like a personal TV. Listen.
Well, what's great now, if I have people come up to the door, it actually is really good. I can kind of talk to them and say, I don't need to tell them I'm not home, but it's going to be as if I'm home, right?
Totally.
I really love
it. Yeah, that's
that before.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And we talked about people coming up because it's sort of the Disneyland of housewives now, and because it's been a part of so many memorable moments. Epic moments, both around several different holidays, I would say. I think I think I said this to you last time we talked, but like one of my favorite moments is when it's around Halloween. Ramona gets out of the car. She sees this sort of crying zombie woman that you have decorated there. Yeah, exactly, like with her hand on her face, and she goes, "Oh my God, it looks like Bethany crying." But she's not out this year, is she?
No, she's not out this year. I've given her a break. I try to every year sort of create a new theme. That's my theme this year, sort of woodland figures, sort of in ode to everything we went through the pandemic and sort of relating back to nature. I really I think for me anyway, I think one of the takeaways from going through the pandemic and being at Bluestone Manor the whole time, which was such a beautiful gift, is that nature, I never realized how much we as humans, we come up, we buy these places, we think we have ownership and we know what's going on, but really nature runs the whole show. And so I kind of wanted this theme, like the trees are listening, so watch out. So I have all the woodland characters and not so much scary
Bethany crying.
One of the scariest things, isn't it? And then the 2 little kids huddling.
Oh yeah. Now
we didn't do scary so much this year. We did more mystical.
Whimsical, mystical, right? I like that.
And
Dorinda, what for you? I mean, I'm sure there are moments that people bring up to you as like their most iconic Berkshire's moments from the different shows, but what to you is sort of your most memorable moment on either one of the shows from your house?
I think I'm always very excited in the beginning when the girls are coming up.
Yeah.
Right. We always know
I feel like for you, it's almost like Christmas morning, them coming up.
Right. And I think when you think about it too, when you think about it in the scheme of the show, it's sort of our crescendo. It sort of hits right in the middle. So we kind of start in the Hamptons, then have Fashion Week, and then the audience goes on this journey with us, which I always love. And then they look forward to us going to Bluestone Manor. So it kind of hits this moment where people come into the home. They see Len's become a great character. They see the house. And the girls kind of, I think, feel comfortable and the audience feels comfortable with it. And I like it because it's an opportunity to sort of showcase, who I am outside of the housewives, like, Bluestone Manor and my branding around Bluestone Manor and my love for it and my cooking. So I think my favorite moments are always the dinners,
Oh yeah.
the
For
famous
the good
dining.
and the bad. Exactly.
We always have some epic things. And then, of course, I mean, I definitely loved that when they first came up the first season. And, obviously I wasn't fully in the swing of things. And I had done so much because people don't understand the preparation behind having people up. So I did it all. And literally by the time I got to, I cooked, I cleaned, I made it nice. If you all can't be nice, you can all go home. Great. That was such a sentiment for so many people that are hostesses and hostesses, right? That
Totally.
kind of defined that moment where your mother, I remember my mother would be so angry after Christmas dinner because we'd eat it in like 5 minutes and she would kind of cook it for 2 weeks. And then,
Right.
and there was kind of that moment. So I think for us as a group, that was an epic moment.
Yeah. Completely. And you took that moment and you've made it a signature
For
part of your
everything, like
brand. And yeah, exactly. It's everything for you. And I think that's so intelligent and
you know what
smart
that
and
people
savvy.
don't realize is that, when you're trying to please, I'm a people pleaser by nature. Like, I think in life there's givers and there's
Right.
receivers. I tend to be the giver to the point where sometimes I get frustrated. So when people don't receive it in the way that maybe I feel fit, and I think a lot of us feel that way when we're hosting.
Totally.
But I love hosting the girls and I look forward to it. And I think most importantly, I think the audience looks forward to it. It's the most being at Bluestone Manor with the girl is sort of the height of our bonding moment.
Yeah, I think so too. It's you're at a house together, nowhere to go.
And that's why Ultimate Girls Trip worked so well because, first of all, it's on a hill, it's on 18 acres. There was nowhere to go. And we were at the end of the pandemic. So even though there were some things open, it was morning, noon, and night here. So you can only imagine with 8 sort of superstars.
Yeah, exactly. Big personalities. It's almost too much for the house. It's a big house, but exactly. And something that you said during that the one of the BravoCon panels, I think it was the one for Girls Trip, was like people don't realize also that there was like 100 people there the week before too, leading with the crew and setting up and all that. So you're hosting more than just 8 women. You're hosting over 100 people.
So sad.
Yeah.
I told you, I woke up one morning before the girls arrived and I woke up and I heard all this stuff because they started like 7 in the morning. It looked like Coachella. I was like, what is happening?
Balloon,
trailers and command stations and drones. That's one thing that was really so impressive is they, because it was a much bigger production through Peacock, they had these amazing drone stations. And I think that for the audience, it gave them such a different feel and look of the house that you hadn't seen before. I mean, I even kind of like was in awe when they were coming up my driveway. I was like, wow, because, I only see it microly. I don't see it macroly, So I think that was nice for the audience to see that it's not just the dining room or the living room where, someone's yelling, mention it all. It's actually a big picture thing that we run here.
I think it gave us a much better appreciation for like the grounds that the house is on, and with by the pool or the field day that you guys had, or the hot air balloon. Like we had at least I had a much better appreciation for just how beautiful the whole thing is.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think people really get, because we addressed it at BravoCon a bit, do you get the feeling that people think like I'm running a bed and breakfast? I mean, the fact that people like, I don't like my room. I'm like, well, it's a house. I can't create rooms. Like,
I think that there's kind of an element to that. I think that it's also like not every room is going to be identical. I don't know what the expectation was necessarily.
I remember I moved into this house in 2005 and I had young children, my 2 stepchildren. And so the house actually, believe it or not, wasn't made for Bravo. It was made for a family. And I really love the fact that people kind of almost, they think there's like a suggestion box or a concierge that's going to help them change rooms. There's no change.
Maybe it was the things you put in every room with the rules on it. Maybe that gave that vibe. I don't know, but it's. And
I stand by that still.
I think you should.
I feel no remorse for that. And if they come back next year, if we do Legacy, I may be updating those plaques after learning experience of Ultimate Girls Trip. Now that I'm going to have the plaque, I'm going to update that plaque.
Update that plaque. No cupcakes in the rooms when they get there. And you know what? Then we live and we learn, right, Dorinda?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. All right, so Dorinda, we are a little over a week from BravoCon, which is I still kind of feel exhausted from it. Do you have you fully recovered? Or are you still kind of
Want to hear the weirdest thing, Gibson? I didn't feel tired from it.
really?
No, I felt I got to tell you, the first day, it's so many people have asked me this. I got to be honest with you, the days were long. I mean, we started hair and makeup a lot of the days 7, 8 in the morning because we had panels at like 10, and we had to get down to the Javits. And there was a lot of nighttime stuff, and luckily I was part of a lot of the big nighttime stuff. But it was so overwhelming to see these people come out the way they did. And you could tell that this was something that they really were looking forward to. I mean, it was as if like it was its own little world for the weekend,
Very
right?
much so.
And I went in there knowing people spent a lot of money. I know that people were traveling far and wide, but the real like being part of it was really over. I mean, there were people from the Middle East there, China, New Zealand, Australia, France, London. I mean, I met 5 people from Wales. I lived in London for 10 years and didn't meet 5 people from Wales. That you couldn't. I was the first night I went home after the Legends Ball on Friday night. I couldn't sleep because my body was almost humming from all this energy. I mean, did you feel it?
Oh yeah, completely. I mean, I really felt as though I was around people who we all spoke the same language, first of all. And it just, we're all so passionate about these shows and these people.
It was healing. Like after going through what we did and learning to appreciate what we missed or what we had, this was the ultimate, like, okay, we're back.
I agree.
And these were loyal, incredibly passionate fans. I mean, you would walk out a door because they had to take us through the back thing, and people would merge towards you. I mean, when did you ever have to have a housewife in New York? These girls have security.
I mean, Dorinda, what I said was like, went by the screams and the reaction and the amount of selfie hands out, you would think that it was Lady Gaga or Beyonce. And
yes.
but you are Lady Gaga or Beyonce to these people. And that's
right.
And that's amazing.
Really interesting, Gibson, because as you know, we only film like 4 months a year, and I really do go back to my old life and back to my family and house and traveling and all my different parts of my life, and I try to be renormalized very quickly. So especially because we've had this long period where we haven't seen each other, you forget how do you say this without sounding conceited, but not just me, but as a group, how much joy, like people really are invested in us.
Yeah.
Very humbling. I'll be honest with you. It's very humbling. I'm walking through Big Y thinking, well, you could go back to being a nobody very quickly. And I love that part of my life. But the first day I was like, whoa, these people really do know us.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And during like you said, like you were involved in all 3 days. You were part of nighttime, daytime events the whole time. And you're one of the people.
Everything. When I got my schedule, I was like, yes, because I treat it like Disney. I don't go to Disney and complain. I put on the sneakers, the tracksuit, and I throw myself in.
Yeah.
You have to be in for a penny and in for a pound.
That's what my question is for you, because you're one of the people that just like very overtly is leaning into it, giving the fans what they want. Like you're providing that experience and that interaction for a lot of people. That
a lot of money and
exactly.
time.
But I'm wondering if like, through your observation, just as somebody who's on the other side of it than the fans, were there, you don't have to name names, are there people that don't really feel that same way?
Yeah, I think they are, and I for me, it's a multi thing. I signed up for it. It's a job. I put my name on the contract, being paid for it. I know that these people have spent a huge amount of money and time. And I know that without them, this is where sometimes I get a little bit like, without these people, there is no me, there is no Bravo. So how can you not lean into it? And yeah, I do think some people kind of, but I don't know if that's BravoCon or if that's their nature, period.
Sure.
It is there in life, there's glass half full, glass half empty people. I hope, and I tend to be more of a glass half full, because my mother allowed me to be anything else. I mean, my mother was like, look at the positive of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the only way to get through. Life is hard enough without trying to add boulders to it, right?
I totally agree.
Stones in your shoes. It's hard enough to walk as it is. You know what they say? One pebble in a shoe ruins the walk.
I like that phrase. I'm writing that down. I like that one. And obviously, you're in the Berkshires right now, Bluestone Manor, where Ultimate Girls Trip 2 filmed, and the Amazon devices weren't there at this point. But I think that there was an amazing reaction to that season of Ultimate Girls Trip Ex Wives Club, and a really amazing reaction, more so than the first season, I think. And I think there was kind of a clamoring for, okay, they were amazing at Dorinda's house, and this is not taking anything away from Bluestone Manor, but can Peacock send them somewhere next time, like for another season, the same group? Do you have any kind of inkling that could happen?
I don't think, I didn't hear anything about that. I think they're kind of like leaning into the Ultimate Girls Trip 3 now. It's a funny thing, you feel like they're sort of like going along and creating as they go along, and everybody thinks we have some magic crystal ball. We really don't. I think that they're going to probably, take on this episode, the third one, which I think is going to be very hard to follow from Bluestone Manor.
Oh, I think so too. I think you guys set the bar really high in terms of producing moments and really kind of, I don't know. Maybe it was the group too. The group that you guys had together.
The group was a great group.
It was
the
special.
Group was a dynamic, strong, just great group. Each one of those women have a strong personality. So you can imagine what it was like being here with all of them for 8 days.
Mm-hmm. And thinking back to BravoCon and then being with those women, but also being with everybody else, what were some of the kind of most memorable interactions that you had, kind of just because I was backstage for a little bit of that time? Like there's a lot of kind of passing through and golf carts and press room run-ins. Like who did you have run-ins with that was memorable?
There was a couple memorable moments. One was when at the first day when I came out, I kind of wasn't really prepared. And they didn't really, I don't think they really understood it, is when they opened the door and everyone just started rushing and the hundreds at the door, and they dragged me back in and said, no, you can't go out. I was like I really realized this was a different thing. Like these people they're here to play.
Totally.
And the other beautiful moment was, and I just strangely got the email about the 20, a woman said to me, can you do a video message to my mother who has cancer, and can you say hello to her? And I said, sure. So we got her out, we FaceTimed her and said, oh, she wrote me the most beautiful email saying, my mother's actually terminally ill, and this meant it was the happiest I've seen her in months. So thank you so much for doing that message. And when you hear things like that and you do things like that, you don't realize that you're actually doing something really impactful. Because for you, it's just like, oh, hey, so-and-so, that kind of thing. And I just was, now that being away from it, getting that email this morning, I'm like, it is important. People can say what they want about us. People can like us. People can hate us. We're impactful.
You're impactful. And I think that's a really special story, Dorinda. And
it is.
And I think that it's hard to put into words, I think, for people that aren't part of this community of stars and media and fans and journalists and producers and people behind the scenes. Like everyone's invested so much time into this whole thing, and we know each other's lives so well that it's hard to characterize that relationship, I think.
It's a love affair.
It is.
It's a love affair.
It really
I
is.
always say it's very similar to what they had for years with soap operas.
I totally agree with that. It's like we've been through the ups and the downs and the highs and lows and
divorces, murders. Mugshots. We don't have murder, thank God, but we
do have mugshots. We do have mugshots. Oh my God.
We do have mugshots. Thank God I haven't partook into that one yet. Anyway.
Oh my gosh. So did you see this interview that Ramona did recently? Did you see that with Carlos King?
No, because I've been up here the whole time. I just got here yesterday to set up for all of Halloween. Okay. What is she doing now?
She's talking about the Legacy show and kind of spilling the tea on her on those last several seasons of RHONY. And and I don't agree with this assessment, but she called the Legacy show the loser show.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't understand that, because I thought she wanted to be on it.
That's what I thought. I think that she sees it as the people are sort of left behind. That's what I think, how she sort of sees it.
Well,
I don't see it that way.
You know what I think? I obviously don't think that, but that's just not smart. That's not a smart business for her. You know what I mean? She We're just at the point where we all should just be quiet and let things roll out. I don't know why she would do that.
I mean, I mean, I would want to spot if I were her.
What's the upside of that? I mean, what's the upside? Because now she might be, I mean, I don't know, but who knows going to be asked back. And she goes back on it, calling it. I mean, that's not going to, I don't think that's going to go down well with people.
I would agree with that.
I'm gonna look it up when I'm done. I'm gonna look it up on my Echo Show 15 as soon as I'm done.
There we go. Dorinda, who was the person that you met during BravoCon, other than like another Bravo celebrity that you were excited to meet, that you had the best interaction with, that you were like, okay, we're gonna be friends, or this was great?
I'll tell you who, Sheree.
Love Sheree.
Enjoyed Sheree. And it was funny, we met. And it was kind of like that moment, which happens a lot in this Bravo world or Bravo family, where we thought we knew each other, but we really realized our only connection was the fact that we were Bravo celebrities, right? But after 5 minutes, I felt like I was like, I'm going to come to Atlanta and visit you. She goes, welcome to Bluestone Manor. I'm like, let's do it, you know? But that's the beauty of the family that, you know, Bravo creates. There is something, it's a sorority in a weird way, or a special club that like we do feel very bonded to each other. And I like the fact too, Gibson, what I liked is, you know, it's a time in your Bravo life that it doesn't have to be based on controversy or negative or fighting and all stuff. You just can stay very positive and kind of enjoy the fruits of your labor a little bit.
Definitely. No, and I felt that.
I think that this thing is, I walked away from it thinking, this thing's huge. They could bring this to London. They could bring this to Australia.
It could be a
they
traveling
could bring
thing.
it to Las Vegas.
Yeah, totally. And it wouldn't have to be like everybody at once. It can be, there can be iterations of this whole thing, because there's clearly like just huge interest in it. And you know, and during,
it was interesting to me, which is an observation I will tell you that I didn't really expect, because I'm in such the Bravo world with the Bravo girls. I didn't, and this isn't a hit, and please don't write it as it, but like, I didn't really realize how huge like Summer House and things were, just because I'm older and I don't watch it. There's no hit there, but like, people are crazy for those people.
And I'm one of them. And I think that one of the things is, I think Summer House in particular, the pandemic helped. The pandemic viewing and people binging shows helped a lot with Summer House. It took it to the next level. And then I also think, Dorinda, that some of those casted younger people that have more men on them, more straight men on them, I think that more male viewers watch those shows with their girlfriends and their wives. Yeah.
Because I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to say this, but I walked out and of course I got my chairs and everything. And then someone from Summer House, they were going crazy. I was like, wait a second, who is that young thing get so much attention over there? Yeah, she was this little young thing. I won't say who it was. People were going crazy over it.
Oh my gosh.
What?
Well, Dorinda, I was at the Ask Andy panel when you crashed, and you got a ton of love. You got a ton of love in that moment. People went wild. My first question about that: did Andy had no idea you were going to crash?
No, I'll tell you the story behind it. So I was walking to my next gig. I think I had a press something. You know, they had those press rooms where you could go in and meet.
Yeah.
And I heard Andy speaking, and I peeked and I said, oh my God, Andy's speaking. And I saw Liz Persky was running the show. So I went and I said, bring me to the front of the line. I'll put my back to the microphone, because I knew, and when they put the spotlight on me, I'll turn around and start talking. He was truly surprised. And don't you like, I don't introduce myself. Hello, I'm Mrs. Medley from Bluestone Manor.
It was so good. And then we got a Make It Nice cheer happening.
And everybody joined in.
It was really good. It was really good. And, you know, I think it's been talked about, like, you know, you asked about when you were being brought off pause, and he hinted that you were going to be soon. I know you don't know too much about Legacy, but one of my questions about that, Dorinda, is like, I really like how you have sort of claimed that phrase on pause, because you kind of got some for it on Girls Trip when I think it was like Tamara was like, that just means fired or whatever. It's the same as the rest of us. Or Brandy, yeah, it was a whole thing. But I feel like you've reclaimed it. I saw some fans that had shirts made at BravoCon saying like, Andy put me on pause. It's become another one of your kind of reclaimed moments, and it's kind of cool.
It's taken on a whole, I mean, whenever I hear it, like literally when people hear pause, my face pops up in their mind. And you know, it was the kindest sort of letting go or whatever you had to do, because it was a hopeful goodbye for a while.
Yeah. What do you feel like?
I'll be honest with you, Gibson. Do you know, first of all, I think it was worked out very well for me, right?
Yes.
I was able to leave, write my book. It was the pandemic. I was able to take a step back, and the audience was sort of allowed to decide. The audience, Bravo celebrities are fierce, right? They love to hate you and hate to love you, but they miss you when you're gone. You know what I mean? You see that a lot. So it gave everybody a moment to sort of reevaluate, who I was, if they really on a macro level. And that's a great thing about housewives. You have to, I said it in an interview, you have to invest in a housewife long term. Sometimes they're good. It's like dating. When you're first dating, everything's great. The sex is great. The time, everything, no one can do it wrong. And then you have your first argument, right? And then you have to kind of make up, but then and that's what it's like, your relationship with Bravo celebrity. It's like a long-term dating. So you have to love them for the bigger picture, not for like the Wednesday night argument at
right, or like a bad season, or like a rougher season they might have had. And I'm wondering for you, Dorinda,
like those rougher seasons, because listen, life.
I agree.
If people want a housewife to be authentic and real, it's not always great. And I think when people are just sort of too middle of the road, I don't know. Does the audience like that?
No, I want the ups and downs, because that to me, we talked about being invested in people. We're invested for the good and the bad, and I think that's ultimately that's what makes us feel close to you guys. And I'm wondering for you, I think we talked about sort of the fan relationship to you, but like when you had that on pause moment, and it's sort of like,
I cried.
Do you feel like
I
that
cried.
I'm sure, but do you feel like you've learned anything from that time off, like from a personal level?
What I've learned. I've learned a lot. First of all, I was very lucky because I just signed a deal with Simon and Schuster like a week before I was put on pause to write the book, and I was really in a sort of a quandary, figuring out, oh my God, they paid me now. How am I going to write the book
in time? Right.
In time. So it worked out perfectly. It also gave me a chance to sort of step back. So I was on for 6 years, step back and just not just, and I say this with the kindest thing, but you can get so wrapped up in just the housewife thing. And as I always say, by the time I went on Housewives, I was 50. So the cake was baked. It was kind of the frosting. I was giving them the frosting. The cake was baked. Brewster Manor was mine. My life was mine. Hannah. Richard had passed. I'd had many lives all over the world and had many different experiences, but it allowed me to step back and sort of like reconnect with me again. The pandemic helped a lot with that, and reconnect with brands. Like I think it's important to be bigger than just a housewife. I love it, but it allowed me to be like, wow, I have a lot of great branding power. I have a lot of Dorinda to still give, and write a book. I did this partnership with Amazon last year, and they came back and did it again, and that's what's great about Bravo. And being a housewife, it provides you with an incredible platform, right? But you want to make sure that you keep growing still, right? And I had a lot of growth. I think all of us did.
Yeah, and I think that you've.
If there is an opportunity to go back to legacy, I have sort of stories to tell again.
Totally, and I think that's what also, because I think sometimes we'll rush back into filming on some of these shows, and like sometimes the break is actually good because it's giving us more fodder, and it's nice.
Dating, how you feel after the pandemic, branding, beautiful branding opportunities with things like Ring and Amazon and all. Just written a book. There's just a lot of things.
There's a lot
that we can now talk about. And listen, I don't care if anyone says they haven't, they're crazy. We've all become a little different since the pandemic.
No, I completely agree. If it hasn't changed you, then I'm not sure you're being honest with yourself. Exactly. The other thing that you've obviously been asked a lot about is the new rebooted cast, and you've been nothing but gracious about that. I think that's the only really way to be, I would say, in your position. What did you make though of Jill going to lunch with some of them? Did you see that?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I just seemed very Jill.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Well, I mean, is it necessary? It seemed, I don't know. It felt a little awkward to me, but that's what Jill, Jill's on all that. I don't know. How did you feel about it?
I mean, I saw some jokes being made about it. I thought I want to read it as like.
I mean, you kind of opened it up. I mean, your first reaction was when you opened it up, you're like, oh, I don't know. It wasn't, what I mean?
Totally. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. And going off that, Dorinda, like it was interesting to watch you squash that beef with Vicky on Watch What Happens Live during BravoCon, when you were like, no, we squashed this, we're over it, whatever, and sort of contrasting that with you and Jill had a moment on one of the panels, and there's clearly some feelings there and some tensions there. And I'm wondering, like, why do you think that stuff with Jill is sort of still lingering, but it's not with Vicky?
I don't think it's. To be honest with you, Gibson, I thought Jill and I were good during the show. We had a great episode 6 into 7. We were hugging. And I just found it interesting that after the show was done, I don't know what happened. So I don't want to touch it, because what I thought was fine, 6 months later, when sort of the press started, a whole new sort of storyline started, which I never liked that, because I love for the audience to sort of follow the show, and it conflicted with what was authentically happening at Bluestone Manor. So I was like, to tell you the truth, I was like, totally, someone called me up and told me about it, because believe it or not, I was up in the person. I'm like, really? Because I had just gotten text messages saying, I love you, I want to be friends, we might go to, so it was more confusing than anything. And I don't do well with, like, say it to my face.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm really like I can deal with anything, but I don't like when there's one conversation going on in front of your face and in Texas, and then behind the scene there's another conversation, because that's dangerous to me. Like, me, I like I will.
You're direct. You're a very direct person. Yeah,
I'm very direct. But what I don't do is that thing where it just is all the mixed messaging, because that's just to me, for even in friendships. Just tell me who you are. And I thought that we had really done a beautifully job at I felt really good when she left. In fact, we were making plans. So
I mean that last episode was pretty great. I cried during that last episode when the choir came in.
What do you think it is, Gibson? Is it? Do you think?
I think my read on it maybe is that there's sort of an anticipation for the lead up to what Legacy could be.
But it doesn't work like that.
I know it doesn't, but I think that's Jill hasn't been on Real Housewives in New York in a very long time. And I think that the show has changed a lot. So I think that there's sort of an effort to, there's an interest in me in Dorinda versus Jill. Let's bring that into Legacy and sort of, you know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense, but who knows?
I just believe in letting things play. I don't have anything to tell you the truth. Jill and I thought we were in a great place. Right. And I can't think, to tell you the truth, after she left the house, all I got were texts that were nice and kind, and maybe I'll come up, know. So I was blindsided. The thing about Vicky and mine was we put it out there. We dealt with it. It was what it was. So we could deal with it in an authentic way, not in sort of a backdoor, thief
Definitely.
in the way.
Yeah.
When that, like I said, is dangerous.
Yeah. When your co-stars like Jill or Ramona on Carlos King last week, or Ebony responding to that, when people who you've like been on the same shows as and things like that, when they do interviews like that, do people send those to you? How do you kind of discover those? Or do you see it on Instagram? Like how do you discover?
I usually sent it. Someone will say, hey, did you see this? And then I see it. And in fact, I hadn't even saw it the day that we did the interviews to us. I hadn't seen it yet, because I'll be honest with you, I try not to get too engaged in all that, because it just it can hurt your feelings. And people say stuff in the moment when they're in interviews that maybe are salacious and they don't mean it. So I try to keep my relationships with the girls that I feel close to. I try to focus on that. But
I get that. That's
why I really don't do a lot of podcasts and things. Even after they put me on pause, I literally did like no interviews, because I was like, I'm going to say something wrong. And then I'm going to, there's something, silence is golden.
And there's always going to be something else.
In trouble. You only get yourself in trouble. The old thing, say it, forget it,
Write it, regret it. One of your most iconic lines.
Even when Jill said in one of her interviews, I will never stay at Bluestone Manor again. It's written. So now, like, no matter what, she'll never be at Bluestone Manor again. Why say it? We had a beautiful time. We had a beautiful story for the audience. And now here we go with statements. Just don't say it. Let things play out.
Also, like if you both end up on Legacy,
I don't feel anything towards Jill, because I haven't really spoken to her. She's kind of on her own sort of PR thing, and I think that's a very important thing for her, is just trying to get back into it. I feel like I'm sort of.
You're still in it.
I'm here. I don't really need to go and badmouth anyone. That's really not my gig anyway. I kind of, when I'm on the show, I do what we got to do in enough that I think honest. It may be painful sometimes, but I'm very honest. I put it out there. But I don't 6 months later just kind of start making up stuff and throwing it out there to see who catches it. You know what I mean?
Right,
That's
right. No.
because you can't, there's no way to prove, like, what am I going to start saying? No, I didn't. Yes, I did. But there's nothing, like, bring it on camera. Let's camera.
Totally. I'm with you. And
What? I don't know how people like to deal with me. I think it's easier to do stuff behind my back than in front of me because
they're scared of the heat. They're scared of you calling them out, which is, I think,
I am very good verbally.
You check people. I think don't let it slide, and I think that's a good way to be.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the proof, and we can file it.
Yep. Dorinda, before we go, you were on that amazing Girls Trip panel with Dave Quinn on Sunday at BravoCon, and they brought out the cast of season 3, which was really cool to see. Kind of like, what was it, like 12 or 15 of you on stage together? What did you make of the kind of dynamic of the third season cast? Did you observe anything from those kind of 15 minutes, or the trailer even? Because Leah's in there.
Yeah. I don't, it's so different than the Bluestone Manor one. I think it's interesting that they went to Thailand and stuff, but we didn't get enough of it. Did you get it?
Right.
Did you get enough of it to really get your hands around it?
It seemed like a very entertaining season, but I'm not really sure exactly how it's going to compare.
Like the fact that I think it's so I was just talking about this to someone this morning. I just love the fact that they can take that. It's such an interesting concept to take all these franchises, right? And you're all separate. And then to cross-pollinate them, because there is something about seeing, Marisol and Leah, or like Candace.
Totally.
Like you're like, huh? Like, because we're almost like cartoon characters. So it is a wild thing, right?
Yeah, I think it's really wild. And my favorite part about the whole Ultimate Girls Trip experiment, I'll say, is like the way that you guys can talk about the shows and the different roles that you play on your respective franchises, and how that differs from the role you play in this new setting. Yeah.
That's the tricky part. Because each franchise has such distinct personalities, and even ways of doing the show. Like New York is sort of, I think, one of the ones that it's very just like, leave us alone, we're filming. Like, don't guide us, don't point to us, don't acknowledge us. Just throw on the mic, throw on the cameras, and let the and we've had many a nights where like they literally have to stop us, and we're like, they're like, we need to take your mics off now because we're just living life. Like
that night at Bluestone Manor, when it literally is like footage from Bethany's phone one night, like the pool tables.
And I always said, what people don't understand, the reason why we look so ragged in the mornings, because when the cameras go off, we keep going. Like, that's not for the camera. We keep going.
Relatable. Yes. I love it. Oh my
God. There's many nights where I remember, I won't say in particular, we'll be doing a dinner and the person will say, can we still order drinks after we stop filming? Are they still free? So they're like, no, once mics are off, we're like, okay, come on, because then we stay. And that's when all the good stuff comes out. And that's when the bonding comes out. I think the great thing about the New York cast, and I hope it for the new cast, is we really we felt bonded together.
I agree. I think I think you made this point earlier, Dorinda, which is like I don't like when there's a lot of high turnover on a show, because you have to let people settle in with each other and create those actual relationships and dynamics, and that's what you guys have on New York, or had on New York, and I'm excited to hopefully have that back on our screens.
And I'm excited, with this reboot, with the reboot stuff.
Yeah.
It's easy. They're coming up after women that are kind of iconic, right? They're like I said, they're almost like cartoon characters. Like, you could put Sonia and as a cartoon, you know who it is. Lou, me, it's really ingrained in fans' things. But I am really interested in seeing that beautiful panel that night. Like, it's exactly as I said, like, I want to learn about these girls. Like, who is that woman in New York City? Aren't you? I really am.
Listen, they all live in New York.
I observe them all the time on the Upper East Side. Like, because I realize now I'm old, and I'll see them in the elevator, and I think, you're such a different young mother than I was.
What's her life like, right?
With
Totally.
technology. Like even honestly, I'm not bringing it back from doing it, but even with these things like the Echo Show 15, with the ring, with being able to access their calendars. Like think about if I was a mother, I had that black daily book.
My mom has one of those as well. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like I would lose that and lose my because it was my because it was my life trying to, now you can do it on all these smart devices.
Mm-hmm.
I could keep my calendar for Hannah on the Echo Show 15. I can look up recipes. I can look up the things I have to do for school projects. Technology is now such a huge part and these smart devices of not only these young girls' lives, but their kids' lives. You think Hannah had a tablet?
No.
Or
right,
a cell
exactly.
phone? And I raised Hannah in London until she was like 8. So we were really behind the 8 ball.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you'll see these younger families out to dinner and the kid is just iPad, headphones on. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Virtual doctors, virtual everything.
Yeah, totally. And
so I think that's really interesting to watch that success. And women, I have to say it is all about the woman right now. She is strong, she is successful, she is confident, and she has financial power. So, I look to my daughter and I think, wow, what a wonderful time to be a woman in this world.
That's a lovely note to end on, Dorinda.
Okay, great. Listen, I love the fact that I've had this partnership with Ring and the Echo Show 15 because it is so important to have smart devices in your house for so many reasons. It helps to organize my Halloween decorations, helps me get recipes. It's great to see who's at my front door. And I love the fact that they can customize the ringtones and that I can see it throughout my whole house. I can see it on my Ring Fire Stick. I can see it on my Echo Show 15. I can see who's at my front door. I can pull up recipes, put on music. These smart devices make our lives so much easier. And I'm so happy to be part of this partnership.
And you know what? It helps you make it nice. It helps me even nicer. Even
nicer. The Ring and Echo Show 15 help to make me nice, make it nice.
Exactly. Well,
that Dorinda, was beautiful, and I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for the time. And I always love seeing your face. And I can't wait till next time.
Next
time.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in to We Should Talk. I hope you enjoyed the interview. You can find out more about In the Know at intheknow.com. You can follow me, Gibson Johns, at Gibsonoma on Twitter and Instagram. And you can listen to all of our interviews, past and future, by searching We Should Talk wherever you get your podcasts. Hope to see you next time.